Hello, 8th graders. Today we're doing Module 4, 8th grade Module 4, Lesson 8. And we're going to be using cross multiplication to solve for our variables. So remember, for cross multiplication, we just multiply across. So here we're going to go 5 times x plus 1. And a negative 1 times 6x minus 2. These are going to be equal. A negative 1 times 6x minus 2. Now we're going to start with our distributive property. 5x plus 5 is going to equal negative 1 times 6 is a negative 6x. And a negative 1 times a negative 2 is a positive 2. Next thing we need to do is get variables on one side. So we got to get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient. That would be the negative 6x. So we are going to add 6x to both sides. We get 2 over here, and we get 11x plus 5 over here. Next thing we do is get rid of our addition. So we're going to have to subtract 5 from both sides. 11x is going to be 2, take away 5, start at 2, go down 5, be at negative 3. And then we need to divide by 11 on both sides. And x is going to be a negative 3/11. And that's our answer for number 1. Let's go to number 2. Again, we're going to be using our cross multiplication. So we're going to have 3 times 4 minus x. And that's going to equal 8 times 7x minus 1. So we're going to start now with our distributive property. It's going to give us 12 minus 3x equals 56x minus 8. Now we need to get rid of the variables with the smallest coefficient. Our smallest coefficient would be the negative 3x. So we are going to add 3x to both sides. And we're going to get 12 equals 59x minus 8. And now we have to add 8 to both sides. We get 59x equals 20. Now we're going to divide by 59. And x is going to equal 20 over 59. Let's go on to number 3. Once again, we have to do our cross multiplication. So we'd have 3x times 9 equals 5 times x plus 2. Notice I could have put the 9 over on this side. It really doesn't matter. 9 times 3 is going to be 27x equals, well, distributive property, right? 5x plus 10. Now we have to get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient, which would be the 5x. So we're going to minus 5x from both sides. And we're going to get 10. And over here we're going to get 22x. Now we have to divide by 22. And x is going to give us 10 over 22. Or x, if we want to divide top and bottom numerator and denominator by 2, we could get 5/11. Either one of these are good. Okay, same numbers. Let's go on to number 4. Oh, fractions. We gotta love our fractions. So number 4, we're going to have 2 times 1/2 x plus 6 equals, then we cross multiply this way, 3 times x minus 3. Okay. Let's do our distributive property. Let's start over here, because I know you want to avoid those fractions, right? So we have 3x and a minus 9 over here. 2 times 1/2 x. Well, how do we go 2 times 1/2? We put this over, well, right, turn that into a fraction, we multiply across, we get 2 over 2, which equals 1. So 1x, or we can just put x, we can make that one invisible, plus 6 equals 3x minus 9. Now we have to get variables on one side, so we're going to get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient. It's this one with 1. So we're going to subtract that 1x from both sides. 6 equals 2x minus 9. Now we have to get rid of our subtraction, so we're going to add 9 to both sides. We get 2x is going to equal 15. Now we need to divide by 2 on both sides. And x is going to be 15 over 2. Just leave it like that. Let's go on to number 5. Let's do our cross multiplication. 1 times 7 minus 2x equals 6 times x minus 5. We have to do, well, this is times 1, so we're going to get 7 minus 2x equals our distributive property over here, 6x minus 30. Got to get rid of the variables on one side, so we got to get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient. That would be the -2. So to get rid of the -2x, we're going to add 2x to both sides. So we're going to get 7 equals 8x minus 30. To get rid of subtracting 30, we're going to add 30 to both sides. So we're going to get 8x equals 37. And now we're going to divide by 8. And x is going to equal 37 over 8. Okay, let's go on to number 6. Number 6. Let's do our cross multiplication. So we're going to have 2 times 3x minus 2 equals 6 times 2x plus 5. We can do the distributive property on both sides. 6x minus 4 equals 12x plus 30. Now we need to get rid of, variables on one side, so we get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient would be 6. So we're going to subtract 6x on both sides. We're going to get negative 4 equals 6x plus 30. Now we need to get rid of our adding 30 by subtracting 30. So we get 6x equals, remember we have negative 4, we have 4 negatives, and we're getting 30 more negatives. So this is going to be a total of 34 negatives. Or you're going to start at negative 4 in the number line, and you're going to go down 30 more. So you're going to continue going down 30 more to get to negative 34. Now we need to divide by 6. And x is going to be a negative 34 over 6. Let's go on to number 7. Let's do our cross multiplying. 3 times 9 minus x equals 7 times 6x plus 1. Let's do our distributor property. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times a negative x is a negative 3x or minus 3x equals 7 times 6x is 42x. And 7 times a positive 1 is positive 7. Now we need to get our variables on the same side. So we get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient, which is negative 3. To get rid of the negative 3, we add 3x to both sides. We're going to get 27 equals 45x plus 7. You got to get rid of the 7, so we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. We get 45x equals 20. Now we're going to divide by 45 on both sides. 45. And we're going to get x equals 20 over 45. Now, if you want, we can simplify this by dividing the numerator and denominator by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 45 divided by 5 is 9. So we can simplify that to x equals 4/9. These are the same numbers. Let's go on to problem number 8. Start with our cross multiplication. Oh boy, more fractions. Let's start with our cross multiplication. 12 times negative 2 minus x equals 15 times 1/3 x minus 8. Let's start with our distributive property. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24, and 12 times negative x is a negative 12x equals 15 times 1/3. Let's come up here. 15 times 1/3. To multiply, you got to turn 15 into a fraction by putting it over 1. Multiply your numerators. 15 times 1 is 15. 1 times 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So we have 5x, right? 15 times 1/3 is 5x. And then 15 times a negative 8 is a negative 120. Now we need to get our variables on one side. So we move the variable with the smallest coefficient, which is the negative 12x. So we're going to add 12x to both sides. Get negative 24 equals 17x minus 124. 120, I'm sorry. Now we're going to add the 120 to both sides. So 17x is going to be 96. Negative 24 going up 120 would get us to 96. Now we're going to divide by 17. And x is going to be 96 divided by 17. Let's go on to number 9. If I can get this paper. Number 9. Okay, let's start with our cross multiplication. 2 times 3 minus x. And 3 times equals 3 times 1 minus x. Distributive property. 6 and a minus 2x. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times negative x is negative 2x. 3 times 1 is 3. And 3 times negative x is a negative 3x. You have to get variables on one side, so we get rid of the variable with the smallest coefficient. Negative 3 is smaller than negative 2. It's further down on the number line. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. We're going to end up with 6 plus x, because it's now a positive x, equals 3. Now we have to subtract 6 from both sides. So x is going to be a negative 3. And this is giving us a lot of practice with solving equations. Our last problem has to do with congruent triangles and writing a ratio. I know that these are congruent, so this has to be the same as this, and this has to be the same as this. So AC is the same length as is proportional to A prime C prime, and BC is proportional to B prime C prime. So we can write this as a ratio. So I could say that x plus 4 is equivalent to 4.5, right? And 3x minus 2 is equivalent to 9. Is not equivalent, is proportional. So these are proportional and these are proportional. So now that I wrote this, I can do what we've been doing, use our cross multiplication. So I'm going to have 9 times x plus 4 equals 4.5 times 3x minus 2. This is going to be 9x plus 36 equals 13.5x minus 9. Got to get rid of the one with the smaller coefficient, so that would be subtract 9x. And I'm going to get 36 equals 4.5x minus 9. I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And I'm going to get 4.5x equals 45. Divide by 4.5. And x is going to equal, if I take 45 divided by 4.5, I'm going to get 10. So x is 10. So I'm telling you right now, x equals 10. That's what we discovered, right? So now we got to find the length of AC. What is the length of AC? Well, AC is x plus 4. So AC equals x plus 4, but we know x is 10. So AC is going to be 10 plus 4. Therefore, the length of AC is going to be 14 centimeters. And the length of BC equals 3x minus 2. So we know x is 10. So BC is going to be 3 times 10 minus 3 times 10 minus the 2. So that's 30 minus 2. So BC is going to be 28 centimeters. So I hope after doing all this, you are getting a little more comfortable with solving equations. Have a good day.